The reclaimed substation pulses, a low thrum against the humid Singapore night. Rain slicked the corrugated iron roof earlier. Now the air hangs thick, tasting of petrichor and possibility. Dust motes, caught in the glow of a single salvaged street lamp, dance like tiny ancestors recalling forgotten rituals.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Across Singapore, the dial sits at 92 Fahrenheit under partly cloudy. Airflow is south-southeast at about 13 miles per hour. Welcome back to the airwaves, architects of your own design. Out here in Singapore, the dial sits at 92 Fahrenheit under partly cloudy skies, with airflow south-southeast at about 13 miles per hour. Tonight, we're tuning into the internal compass, charting a course for self-worth that builds from the ground up, separating toxic residue from architectural signal. Down to brass tacks, a bulletin from West Africa. Ghana's parliament just passed a sweeping law criminalizing LGBTQ+ activity. This isn't a theoretical debate, it's a direct challenge to the architecture of personal autonomy.
This Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, now awaiting presidential assent, directly criminalizes up to 500,000 LGBTQ+ Ghanaians, imposing prison sentences of up to 3 years for individuals and 10 for those supporting or advocating. It dismantles existing safe spaces and exposes a vulnerable population to immediate legal threat, essentially legislating their inherent worth out of existence. Community groups say some fear they could lose homes, jobs, and access to health care.
This isn't just a legal text, it's an attempted erasure of a lineage, a cultural scar. Imagine a family home built over generations suddenly declared illegal and its inhabitants forced into the shadows, their very history denied. It's a profound betrayal of communal dignity.
Patching in a caller, the contrarian. You're on the signal.
Slight static, but clear. You talk about autonomy and dignity, but aren't there local cultural norms at play here? Who benefits from upholding traditional values versus those pushing what some see as foreign agendas? What's the economic cost of international backlash versus internal social cohesion for Ghana? Show me the receipts.
A reel-to-reel stutters somewhere in the back room, then finds its groove. The board glows amber. That's the core, isn't it? When a nation legislates identity, it shifts the ground beneath everyone, including its own economic future, as potential aid from bodies like the World Bank and IMF could be impacted. Concrete facts show the bill, if ratified, criminalizes all forms of LGBTQ+ identity and expression, targeting individuals with up to 3 years in prison and advocates with up to 10 years. This move directly contradicts international human rights principles. Who is affected includes an estimated 500,000 LGBTQ+ Ghanaians who face immediate legal persecution, loss of basic rights, increased discrimination, and severe psychological distress. Their families, allies, and even healthcare providers could be impacted, exacerbating public health crises. The entire nation's economic stability and development aid are also jeopardized by potential international sanctions and withdrawal of financial support. A viable alternative path would be for President John Dramani Mahama to refuse assent and send the bill back for revisions, initiating a comprehensive national dialogue on human rights and non-discrimination. This dialogue should engage with community leaders, legal experts, and public health officials to draft legislation that protects the rights of all citizens while addressing societal concerns through education and support, rather than through criminalization. The chosen next move for those exposed is likely a dual strategy: intensifying grassroots organizing within Ghana for safety networks and legal defense, while simultaneously supporting internal legal challenges within Ghana's Supreme Court. This must be coupled with sustained international diplomatic pressure from human rights groups like Amnesty International and concerned governments, potentially including targeted aid conditionalities. Speaking of shifting ground, let's turn to academic spaces.
Debrief like designers, log the friction, script a small rule bend, and try it live.
Next, the architecture of knowledge itself faces a challenge as a UK university axes a vital program.
Birmingham City University's decision to cut its Black Studies MA citing low enrollment and financial viability, mirrors a dangerous trend. This move directly impacts future scholars, potentially denying 15 to 20 prospective students a dedicated path to decolonial knowledge and research, effectively shrinking the academic space for critical race theory in the UK. This decision exposes the university's commitment to its stated diversity initiatives as contingent on profit, drawing a dangerous parallel with extremist campaigns in the US, as warned by civil rights scholar Kimberlé Crenshaw.
This isn't just a course reduction, it's a structural amnesia, a deliberate removal of a vital support beam from the edifice of knowledge. It's like removing a chapter detailing a community's provenance from a public archive, then wondering why the collective memory nags. The stories, the critical perspectives, they are the provenance of a richer, more honest history.
Lines open.
But if a program isn't financially viable, isn't it just good stewardship to cut it? Who pays to prop up niche studies when resources are tight? Aren't there more practical degrees that better serve students in the job market, like STEM fields?
Finally, we delve into the deeply personal architecture of family, shattered by a profound breach of trust.
In a stark breach of consent and provenance, a man is suing a hospital in the Netherlands after his wife gave birth using a stranger's sperm, not his own, during IVF treatment. This procedural error, confirmed as a mix-up in the lab, unravels the very genetic foundation of a family, impacting the parents with emotional trauma and raising profound identity questions for the child born from this unexpected lineage. The hospital's quality control systems are fundamentally exposed, especially given the wife was sentenced in April 2025 for forging the man's consent form, adding layers of complexity to the breach.
This incident rips at the ancestral thread, a fundamental betrayal of trust in the most intimate realm. It's like a sacred scroll meant to carry family lineage, suddenly containing a foreign inscription. The story has been irrevocably altered, a profound violation of the child's and family's inherent dignity.
How do you even put a price on something like this? Beyond financial compensation, who really pays for the emotional damage, the identity crisis? And how many checks and balances can a hospital afford before the cost of fertility treatment becomes prohibitive for everyone? Is it even possible to prevent every human error?
The cost is immeasurable when dignity is compromised, and the architecture of consent is breached in such a core way. Concrete facts. Detail a man suing a Dutch hospital after a confirmed lab error during IVF led to his wife giving birth using a stranger's sperm. The wife was also sentenced for forging his consent form, complicating the legal and ethical landscape. The hospital maintains it gave adequate explanation, but the claims of fundamental error persist. Who is affected? Includes the couple, who face profound emotional distress, a crisis of paternity, and a fundamental breach of trust in the medical system. The child born from this procedure will grapple with complex identity questions and potentially a shattered sense of provenance. Future IVF patients may experience increased anxiety and distrust, impacting their deeply personal reproductive choices. A viable alternative to current protocols would be for fertility clinics globally to implement a triple-check system involving advanced biometric tracking for all genetic samples and patient identities. This system would ensure at least 3 independent verifiers cross-check each step of the IVF process, from collection to preparation to insemination, with digital logs and immediate patient confirmation. The chosen next move for the affected couple, beyond their current lawsuit for significant financial and emotional compensation, involves demanding a national policy review of fertility clinic oversight. This push should advocate for mandatory, independent audits of all sample handling procedures and robust legal frameworks for compensation and psychological support in cases of medical error affecting genetic lineage, preventing this structural failure from recurring for other families. Finding that cost, or rather, rebuilding consent, is the sovereign work.
Prototype the fix.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Continue the signal at TogeeVision.com. Tune in, Sparks and Stories, Gig Passport.